All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us here on Facebook Live. We'll wait just one moment and let everyone settle in and join the feed here. Excellent. Thank you all for joining today. All right. My name is Matthew Cullen, and I am a lead forecaster at the National Weather Service in Portland. And we're really happy to be with you today and join virtually via Facebook to connect with a lot of people. So I'm joined by one of my coworkers, Samantha Borth, who's a forecaster in our office as well. And then a special guest, Morgan Palmer, Chief Meteorologist over at KIRO7 TV. Thank you, Morgan, for joining with us today.
Great to be here.
Excellent. So off the top, I thought the best way to let everybody out there in Facebook world get to know a little bit more about the people behind the social media accounts and behind the TV screen in Morgan's case. We'll go around the horn here and just each tell a little bit about how we got to our current job, what our current job is, and what we do in that role. Morgan, would you want to go ahead and start there?
Sure, absolutely. I'm Chief Meteorologist here at KIRO7 in Seattle. I do the evening newscasts 5, 6, 7, and 11 o'clock on weekdays, and primarily lead the weather department that we have with some of the strategy. And if we have any long form coverage, I'm leading that. I've been Chief Meteorologist a little more than 4 years there, coming up on 9 years at KIRO7, worked weekends, worked mornings, so kind of worked my way up there. And before coming to Seattle, had 2 other television jobs. One was in Fort Myers, Florida, so forecasted weather for the southwestern part of Florida. And then in East Texas for about 8 or 9 years to start my career there. And so kind of worked my way from Texas to Florida, and then from Florida about as far as you can move up here to Seattle. But while I'm from Texas originally and had done storm chasing way back in the 90s when I was in high school and college and was really interested in that. I have family here in the Seattle area, so jumped at the opportunity to come up here. Little did I know that things would work out for me to stay here for a long time.
Well, that's excellent. Great. Thank you, Morgan. And Sam, why don't you go ahead and tell us about yourself and how you got to your current job?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Sam. I'm still relatively new to the office here in NWS Seattle. So I started in July of 2018. So it'll be 2 years this upcoming July. And I am originally from the Chicagoland area, and I went to school at Valparaiso University, and that's where I got my meteorology degree. That's really close to Chicago, about an hour and a half away in Northwest Indiana. And then for my graduate degree, I went over to Germany and got my degree in climate system sciences. And then starting my career, I started in Texas. So I was a marine forecaster down in Houston. And then this is my first weather service office. So now I'm over here.
Excellent. Cool. Thanks, Sam. And for myself, Morgan, we actually been to a lot of the similar states in our past. I actually went to college down at Florida State University and then hopped out to Texas A&M. So not too far from Austin, although they are bitter rivals for my master's degree. I got my master's degree at Texas A&M doing lightning research around Houston. So that was kind of my educational background. But then I made my way out west. Ultimately, after I finished my master's, I ended up at the Portland Forecast Office. I was actually down there for about 6.5 years until this past November. That's when I made the jump up here. I was promoted up here to a lead forecaster in our office here in Seattle. So I've only been here about 5 months so far, and kind of got here right in the core of the wintertime and the activity of this past winter for sure. But then again, having been in Portland for the previous 6.5 years, it really wasn't too different in the big picture, at least. But as we can move into our discussion about kind of Western Washington in the springtime, there are some big differences, certainly with the sound and some local effects that I've had to jump on real quick and get a big feel for as we go on. But yeah, so I think the next step, kind of talk about what we do, what our daily job is like, kind of what our roles are. I know Sam is on a forecast shift today, so she's forecasting. I'm actually on a non-operational shift. Those are extra shifts in which we can actually work on training, research, work on local projects, and some development things. So it's a good balance of being in the office forecasting and also being out of the office. But Sam, do you want to tell us more about what you're doing today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the public desk today, and so that basically means that I'm looking at the next 7 days. I'll be looking at precipitation, any systems that are going to potentially impact the area, temperatures for the next 7 days, cloud cover. We also have one other forecaster in the office who's working on aviation and marine. But my primary focus is what's going to be happening for the next 7 days in that case, like temperatures and everything. So working on the forecast this afternoon.
Excellent. Very cool. And like Sam alluded to, she's on the daytime shift today, but we actually have 3 different shifts in our office and we rotate through and cover the different duties. But Morgan, what about you? Where are you at in your work day today and how's your day set up?
Yeah, my workday usually starts about 2:30 in the afternoon. Of course, getting up early in the morning. First thing I do usually is check the models. Waiting for the euro to come in, see how the overnight and early morning models look. This time of year, it's a little more cruise control than it is, say, in October and November, when you're really looking to see what sort of shift we're going to have in the near term. Right now, though, I'm working from home. And so KIRO7 has set me up with a few pieces of equipment. It's really amazing. We've been working at home, doing all of our weather forecasts from home since 2 weeks ago yesterday. So this is on the third week of that, both morning, nights, and weekends. And I can't imagine being able to do this 8, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. It would have been much harder. But the technology has advanced so much that I can control my weather computer from my MacBook right in front of me. Well, here, let me take this cell phone. I'm actually streaming through my cell phone. So let's kind of turn this around here. And yeah, I'm just in my living room and happen to have the satellite radar loop going in my living room television behind me, and it's simply streaming through an Amazon Fire Stick. And we have this stream on our Fire and Roku and our website 24/7. And then over here, I have our newsroom computer system. So I'm able to look and see what all the producers and what the lineup for the newscast is. Work provided me with this handy light, and then I have a TV on the floor that has the live output of KIRO7. Looks like we're in a governor's press conference right now. And then through my MacBook Pro here, I'm able to control the weather computer at work, and that's the computer that I'm actually running, that's showing the weather maps on TV, and they have me in a split screen. So this view is small down at the corner, and the weather maps are up top. And now the delay in that's about 2 seconds or so from my audio and video and getting to TV, even though when I press advance on the weather computer, it goes to the next map and is almost instantaneous on television. So I'm still trying to get that, even though it's only 1 to 2 seconds. It's kind of weird. I don't want to jump the gun and advance the graphic on television before my voice with about a 2-second delay can catch up. So it's one thing I'm still trying to work through right now, but it's worked very well so far.
Certainly, that's really interesting.
Yeah, so I start working on weather maps after my morning and noon meteorologist, Nick Allard. He clears out of there about 1 o'clock. After this, I'll go ahead and hop into the weather computer, start putting my shows together. A lot of the graphics, like you have at the Weather Service, there are some automated graphics that constantly update that I don't have to do a whole lot with. But I take a look at the National Weather Service forecast, look at the MOS, look at all of the data, national blend of models, everything, just to try to get the forecast tweaked to the numbers that I think are looking a little bit better for the next day and for the next 7 days. So we're never really off very much, by a degree or two, maybe here and there, but everyone has their own forecast. Everyone does their own forecast at our shop too.
Certainly, that's really cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're all adapting and doing our, getting the job done in various ways, which is really cool to see everybody kind of doing the right thing there. So definitely that's really cool. We'll kind of shift gears here. And, we did kind of promote and pitch the idea of springtime weather. I know after the last few weeks, we had a little bit of everything, really. If you go back about 2.5 weeks, we were cool for a while. We had a lot of rain all of a sudden, some small hail, which always gets a lot of excitement going. Some really cool pictures on social media of the rainbows we even had to close out March on those several days in a row. It was really an active, really the last 7 days or so of March. And then we're kind of shifting gears here. It looks like, by and large, we'll be transitioning to more of a drier and a little bit warmer pattern for a couple of days and maybe even beyond. So let's talk about that a little bit. What springtime tends to mean here in Western Washington, and what types of things to maybe look out for, and what types of patterns do tend to develop. We'll start maybe with the small hail. And, there's days where we get the showers and some thunderstorms even that we got going last week, or a week and a half ago now, I guess, to close out March. Any thoughts on those things so far?
What we saw, what I was looking at last week, was of course the lapse rates and temperatures aloft. We were colder aloft, and what my job is at KIRO7 and all of us in television, our job is to take some of the more complicated scenarios and complicated descriptions and sort of boil it down to something that's a little more understandable to somebody who really might not be interested in science or weather at all. And I like to tell a good story. So people often understand, well, if you have a little bit of a bigger difference between warmer air at the surface and colder air aloft, You can sometimes get the clouds to grow higher in the sky, and people understand that you grow a cloud higher into the sky, better chance of getting thunder and lightning and small hail and that sort of thing. So that's what we had last week, and that's pretty common, to have that this time of year, and then also in the fall when we have those transitions and we get those shots of cold air still coming back down from the north aloft, while we're getting more incoming solar radiation that's warming us up during the day. Get the showers and sun breaks, and things can really pop. It's interesting.
For sure. It definitely keeps us active. And like you alluded to with our longer days now, that extra daytime heating, it gets some of the, the increased instability first with the heating at the surface. And as you alluded to, the colder air aloft. We also get more of the terrain-driven flow with that extra diurnal heating going on. So with things like, the Olympic Peninsula sitting right there with those big mountains just to our west, things like the Puget Sound Convergence Zone become a big thing to really keep an eye on. We talk about it in the wintertime with heavy bands of snow that's over a localized area. But it's the same deal in the spring, too, and into the summer, certainly, with these showers. And it seems to really enjoy that King Snohomish County line. It sets up right there more often than not. It's really quite remarkable.
Yeah, that's actually something that coming from out east, it was different for me because I'd never really forecasted with a lot of terrain. So just having things like the Puget Sound Convergence Zone and getting used to that. So definitely interesting how that can set up.
It was something that when I first came here, it took me about 6 months to a year to kind of get my feet under me, and a lot of questions being asked of the meteorologist I was working with at the time at KIRO7. But when I was in Southwest Florida in the Fort Myers market, Fort Myers, Naples, we had the daily sea breeze half the year, pretty much half the year. And my shift happened to be noon and the 4 p.m. newscast. And those thunderstorms would blow up almost like clockwork. And while the Fort Myers and Naples area is in between the Miami and Tampa Doppler radars, we had our own Barron radar there at my station in Fort Myers. So we were able to see that sea breeze on a every 30-second basis, because we were just scanning one revolution every or two per minute, and we're just scanning the base. We weren't sampling higher up in the atmosphere. It was just purely a surveillance radar for us. And to be able to get on and say, you know what, we have two little sea breezes that look like they're about to collide over Cape Coral, and here in about 10 minutes it's probably going to erupt. And so that's what we look at here with the convergence zone, is what sort of air currents do we have coming together? Are the winds going to shift and it drives it south, or drives it farther to the north? So convergence, as I mentioned from time to time, and as we meteorologists know, air is a fluid and it acts like a fluid. And so you just watch those motions and see where the air is sort of sloshing around and where things are coming together. And that's why we get the showers and storms and snow to develop in the convergence zone, because that air, those air currents collide. Air can't go down, it's got to go up.
Absolutely. All right, cool. Well, I think we'll go ahead and one last thing that we promised. We've got a few questions on our last video that we did last week about what should we expect this spring. And, with the Weather Service, we have the Climate Prediction Center. That is a really good shop. They get to forecast and do the outlook for longer lead times. Here in our office in Seattle, we forecast, really, it's a 7-day forecast. We're looking out maybe in the 7 to 10-day range, but not too much beyond that. We have the experts at the Climate Prediction Center, or CPC, that do that for us. And what their outlooks shows for the springtime, it came out, the most recent update just came out about a week or two ago, but for the springtime, they favor a warmer and a drier than normal overall for the season, and that's for April, May, and June. So one thing I really like to tell people is that, bear in mind, this is an outlook for an entire 3-month period on average. It's not saying every day will be warm and dry from now through the end of June. That might be nice for some people, but it's really, they're trying to forecast a long period of time, all averaged together into a single warmer or cooler or, equal chances for both, obviously warmer for temperature, and then drier or wetter or equal chances for precipitation as well. So it's meant to be an overall big picture view. So that's not to say that we're not going to have, storms that move through or showers at times. But everything they look at is more the big picture climate signals. So they're looking at how the odds are weighted. It's all basically, if you start with 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3, those are the 3 pockets. So the odds are maybe leaning in the favor of being warmer compared to a normal, or drier or less precipitation than normal. That's what we're looking at for that springtime period. But again, that's not to say that things won't be different day to day, because that's the nature of weather versus a larger scale type of climate issue and a seasonal type forecast.
Right, and even La Nina and El Nino, when we go into the fall season, late summer, early fall, and we start to lock in if we think we're getting a strong El Nino or a strong La Nina. And I always say it just sort of weights the scales or weights the dice one direction. It doesn't guarantee a result. And I think more and more people understand that, because we've had a couple of busts recently. I think, what was it, three years ago? It was a La Nina that didn't turn out to be, or something like that. And it just, sometimes it fakes us out, especially those long-term patterns. It's not a forecast, it's an outlook. And
exactly,
that's not as locked in as a forecast is.
For sure. And for some of our viewers who are on here who maybe are a little bit more scientifically inclined or dig into the research more, they call it the predictability barrier. Basically, here we are in the springtime. If you're forecasting temperatures over the Pacific Ocean, over an area, there's a lot of unknowns that will evolve as we move through with where the storm track goes, where the highs and lows set up, and what that means for our local area. So definitely don't get too dialed into specifics. That's the big picture with our climate outlooks. Those are outlooks for the year for a reason. Like Morgan said, they aren't forecasts. Cool. Well, let's see. Have we gotten any questions in so far?
Yeah, so this is Reed. We do have one kind of question. So last year this time we were already in the 70s at times. Where have our warm temps been?
It's a great question, isn't it? In fact, I remember I looked up the numbers. We had, I wasn't here in Seattle then last March, but we had 2 days, I believe, at SeaTac that were in the upper 80s back-to-back days. So certainly it does happen. But, the type of pattern we get, our winds certainly drive a lot of that, right?
Absolutely. That's absolutely true. I'm going back and looking at last year. And when were those days? I remember those very, very warm days.
I want to say it was maybe the third week of March of last year. I don't have those numbers in front of me.
Yeah, it's all a matter of when we get that onshore and offshore flow. Onshore flow is the flow that comes in off the Pacific Ocean. We get that probably 80+% of the time. That brings in the cooler air off the ocean because the Pacific Ocean stays cool, because the water flow in the Pacific Ocean off our coast is from north to south. So it's bringing those cooler waters down from offshore Alaska and British Columbia past our coastline. Now, it fluctuates from time to time. Sometimes they're a little warmer, sometimes they're a little colder than normal. But you push air over that cool water into Western Washington, and that's what keeps our climate cool, but also temperate. That really helps to mute the fluctuations that they see in Eastern Washington, because their air is drier, and they also don't have the influence of the Pacific Ocean, so they can get really warm and really, really cold. And we just don't have that around here. But March of 2019, popping that in here real fast, we had a couple of days, 279-degree temperatures back on the 19th and 20th of March, and that was at SeaTac Airport. So
that's right.
So
awfully
close to that. Yeah, but
when the normal 70s.
Normal high temperatures are in the mid 50s, and they still are in the upper 50s right now.
Sure. Right. And I mean, at least I'm the one looking at the forecast for the next 7 days at least. And so we're not going to be anywhere near the 70s, at least not the high 70s. But tomorrow looks to be pretty nice in the sense that it's going to be in the mid 60s, at least for a lot of portions of the lowlands. So.
Yeah, I could see a few spots, especially in interior parts of Pierce County, Lewis County, Thurston County, those spots like Enumclaw and a few of those areas that get a little bit warmer this time of year. I could see some station on Thursday popping 70 degrees, as we look at all of the different weather stations out there. But definitely nothing like we've had in the past. And it was amazing going back and looking at the 62 degrees temperature, which is the warmest of the year so far at SeaTac Airport. We did that once last year, and then we did it back on the 3rd of January, which was such a treat after the holiday.
Right. Excellent. Cool. Well, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up there. One last pitch for following NWS Seattle on social media. Tomorrow, actually Wednesday, April the 8th. So if you're watching it live, it's tomorrow. If you're watching this later on, it may be today. But it is Safe Place Selfie Day. This is a campaign to basically encourage people to think about the safe places where you would go in various types of weather. Maybe it's a severe thunderstorm or even a tornado, if that were to develop, or say there's an earthquake followed by a tsunami. Where would you go? Where is your safe place? So we encourage people to think about that And if you're able to do so, take a quick picture of yourself doing something safe and share that on social media tomorrow. We'll be doing that. We'll be doing it. All the Weather Service offices and all kinds of people around the country will be sharing their photos. So feel free to join in that tomorrow. Cool. So with that pitch out there, any last thoughts?
I enjoy the sunshine this time of year with so much that we're going through. It's nice that we're able to bring some good news. Over the past few weeks, sometimes it's been hard to find good news in our newscast. So we meteorologists try to come on and have a happy tone. And with all of this sunshine, we can certainly deliver that. So it's nice to get the sun while so many of us are having to stay home.
Sounds good. Well, sorry, Sam, go ahead.
No, just agreeing. Like, definitely. It's going to get nice out. Now it's getting nice. Just looking out the window. But yeah, the next few days at least.
For sure.
See some sun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess I see a few more questions that have come in late on Facebook. We'll try to answer those for you here later on. But for everyone else, thank you for taking the time to join us today. If you like this, give us some comments later on and let us know. And we'll keep doing these maybe in the future to just try to interact. And we have some other short videos coming up on our social media platforms over the next week or two that will go into various other weather topics around Western Washington. So keep an eye out for those. And as always, we're here to provide a forecast for you. So thank you again, Morgan, for joining us. It's been great. Thank you, Sam, as well. And goodbye to everyone on Facebook.
All right. See you later.
Have a good one.